Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our next webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And you'll see that I'm joined today by Ben Bouldin, who is from Royal Caribbean. He looks after the UK, but also Europe and Middle East. So welcome to you, Ben.
Good morning, Lucy. Thanks for having me.
Well, you've got some exciting news that you're announcing this morning regarding Europe in 2022. So perhaps you would like to just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure, Lucy. I say exciting, and it's obviously exciting that we're getting excited about 22. But in the context of this year, I think anything like this is super exciting. So we're really confident, obviously, with all the vaccine news and everything else, that 22 is going to be as close to getting back to normal as it possibly can be. And we're very confident that Europe can play a really significant role in Royal Caribbean's plans in 22. So we've got 7 ships in 22 in Europe, which is one more than we've got next year. And there's some great ships involved. So Odyssey, which some people may have seen, was floated out actually on Saturday. Our latest ship will be back in Rome. I say back in Rome because she's obviously scheduled to be in Rome this year or next year too, but she'll be back in Rome for the summer of 22, which is fantastic news. In Barcelona, where we have our marquee Oasis class program, we've got Allure. It's going to be in Barcelona, so delighted that we've still got an Oasis class. And that's really developing as one of our marquee programs around the world. And then great news is that Anthem is going to be back in Southampton again. And I know there's loads of Independence fans out there who still email me to say, is Indy coming back in 22? Unfortunately not. It will be Anthem again in 22, which I'm personally delighted about because that ship's just perfectly suited to the British market.
Well, and you know, you make reference to that. There are some massive Indy fans, but surely the people are getting fond of Anthem now. I mean, she was always popular when you launched her, and she must now be getting quite a following.
Oh, she has definitely got a following. I mean, we wouldn't keep her here if she wasn't the perfect ship for the marketplace. But you can't deny there is a huge demand for people to see Independence back. I mean, I actually had a travel agent this week who messaged me at the weekend going, I hear Independence is coming back in 22 to Southampton. Can you confirm? Because if that's the case, I need to lay on extra staff for next week. I was like, I don't know where you're getting that from, but unfortunately, it's not the case at the moment. I wouldn't say never, though. I'd love to have Independence back. And if the
she was moved back, wasn't she, into the Caribbean, and it was all around because you needed more capacity for Perfect Day, and things have changed, I guess, so much. I mean, but
the beauty of ships is they're assets you can move around. So depending on how the world evolves over the course of the next few years, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've made no secret of the fact that I'd love to have 2 ships back in Southampton. If one of those ends up being Indy again, then so be it. But for now, at least, it's Anthem in Southampton in 22, which I'm thrilled about.
Yeah, and then of course Allure, as you say, and Odyssey as well. So yeah. So this is launching today. How are you launching it, Ben? Are you going to be, what are you communicating to travel agents? What's the kind of creative going to be like around it?
Well, we've gone with the creative that Heroes, a holiday worth waiting for. And I think that's quite apt, given obviously the challenges we've all faced this year and ongoing. I think we're not one of the first to put our 22 program on sale. We never are. We tend to go late November, early December most years. That works for us because we like to kind of have a good run at next year, get that done, and then obviously move into selling 22. I think at the moment, what we've got to step up and realize is that people are still uncertain as to what 21 is going to bring. And the whole of the industry has got fingers crossed that we can all deliver the cruise vacations we want to. But I certainly think the consumer public are thinking 22, I want to have something to look forward to. I want to get something booked. Even my parents phoned me last night to say we've booked a cruise for 22.
I hope it was one of yours.
No, well, it wasn't a royal one, which is a bone of contention, but it was within the family, shall we say.
Okay, all right.
But I think people are genuinely looking to sort of they're looking for a little morale boost. And people tend to shop when they kind of want to pick me up. And I think equally people like holidays to look forward to. So I'm confident on the rhetoric of what I'm hearing about other cruise lines' success with their on sale now programs that we're going to have a really strong start. And the team's going to really focus on this for the balance of this year in December and then into January. So we're looking forward to taking this to the trade and really amplifying it.
Okay, just you a couple of times now you've mentioned about 21, and it is just so we're still uncertain, aren't we? But you've still got a program. You're hoping people will will travel, but I guess you're just assuming that will be a later booking situation. Then you want people to get their 22 holiday booked, but then if there's an opportunity, maybe take a later deal for 21. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're quite well sold for 21. People are not dropping out until we force them to do so.
Okay.
Great news. And we're desperate to get 21 up and running. I mean, really keen. Like many cruise lines, we've got some fantastic news. I mean, we've just floated out Odyssey. I mean, there is nothing I want to do more than host a massive trade event on Odyssey.
And is that the plan, or is that still the plan for 2021? Or, one of your...
No, that's still the plan. I mean, we're still working really hard to try and bring that to life.
And will that be in Southampton then, or would you be taking some trade partners somewhere in Europe?
Both in reality. So the ship's obviously coming from Germany, and the plan was to really showcase her on her way round to Rome. So we have got tentative plans to do an event in Southampton, which would also be one of these test cruises that people are talking about. Because the likelihood is she could be one of the first ships for us that is operational. We then obviously got Anthem starting her season in April. And again, we may have to do some test cruises around that. So we need to think about that. But we also want to show Odyssey off in Barcelona as well. So we've got plans to kind of show her off as we go around, and more than enough opportunities to really kind of get the trade together. And let them be part of one of our events that, typically speaking, they all thoroughly enjoy.
I know. Well, it'd be so great to get back to those. We miss them. But just in going back to talking about the trade then and getting them sort of fired up. Obviously got great itineraries. You've got 3 ships in Europe. Is there any sort of particular price messages or incentives? Are you expecting a sort of wave season like we've seen before? What's the kind of plan in that respect?
I guess it's difficult because no one's got a glass ball, and we're trying to work out what the right thing to do here is. I think for us, we're going to focus very much on 22 for a few weeks, get it launched, make sure the trade understand what the programs are, make sure they also understand what our programs are out of Amsterdam, out of Copenhagen, out of Ravenna, and also we've got a new port of embarkation in Tarragona in Spain. So we've got lots to kind of educate the trade on for next summer, and I'm looking forward to making sure that we do that well. We're at full complement from a key account management team, or we will be when we've recruited the vacancy.
Yeah, you're still recruiting, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got a couple of positions we're recruiting for. It's taking a while to get through the 600 odd applications we've had, because we want to make sure we do that job properly. But we'll be at full complement, and also we've really taken the time when we've been sort of not in the kind of off season, but as we've been a bit quieter through this year, we've taken the time back of house to really amplify and set ourselves up, and ensure that not only the technology we apply on our ships, but the technology we apply to our shoreside operations is fit for purpose. So all of our CAM teams are now equipped with a really fancy program that enables them to bring our cruise vacation program to life with the travel trade better than they've ever done so before. So we've
and presumably virtually, because you're still not back on the road, are you?
No, absolutely virtually. We're ongoing and assessing. We'd love to get back on the road and face-to-face meetings, but at the moment we haven't set a date for that. So everything we're doing at the moment is virtually. And we've
quite effective. I mean, lots of people we've spoken to have said that even when they can get back on the road, they don't expect it to be exactly the same as it was, and there may well be a mix of face-to-face and virtual.
Yeah, I think there will. I mean, undoubtedly, the way we operate has taught us a lot. I don't think the virtual world can ever replace the face-to-face experience in terms of collaboration. But equally, in face of sort of less contact physically, it's a really ample substitute. And we've achieved an awful lot this year in this virtual world, and you've had to. But it's I'm hopeful we get a nice blend of the two.
Okay. Now you mentioned these test cruises, Ben, but the other thing that's happened this week, of course, is that you've actually had an actual sailing restarting over in Singapore with Quantum. So just, perhaps give us an update on, your return to healthy sailing and how that's going, including this, I know it's only been a couple of days since people embarked in Singapore, but how's it going?
Yeah, so it is early days. So the first official revenue sailing went on the 1st, so just a couple of days ago. And we did a test sailing for friends and family before that to really kind of put the crew through their paces and just test all the protocols. This is a product for Singaporeans that we've worked in partnership with all the Singapore authorities on. I have to say that the attention to detail has been fantastic. The appetite of the Singapore Tourist Board to support the return of crews has been incredible. And we're grateful for all involved. I mean, it has been a real task to kind of get back sailing there, and it's taken us a long time to get the ship ready and get everything in place. And that's taught us a lot about what the return to service is going to look like. And we've learned a lot from that. But the first sailing is up and running. All went very smoothly. People
were tested, were they, before boarding? And then
everybody tested before boarding. Nobody was turned away because of a negative test. We had to turn a couple of people away who hadn't had a test.
Right.
But nearly everybody got on board though. And everything's working really well. And a couple of interesting nuggets for you is 80% of the people cruising with us are at least new to brand, if not new to cruise, on these first sailings, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And in terms of the technology we've brought to the process, obviously there's been a lot of talk about how's technology going to play a role. And for sure, certainly in our case, it's going to have a massive impact on the online check-in process and the kind of the steps you need to take in terms of before you arrive at the terminal. Well, we've had some of this technology in place for a wee while, but we probably had about a 40% usage. Usage on the first few sailings we've done has been at 95%.
Gosh, okay.
Jump in people using technology in order to facilitate a much smoother embarkation process. And that's made things super easy for us as well. And then the experience on board's been great. The shows have been fantastic. We've had to adapt them in Singapore because they've had various rules about singing and performing and all sorts of things. So we've even changed the Sequins and Feathers show to be Masks and Feathers.
Oh, I like that. So do you know what? There's going to be so many more masked balls, aren't there, on ships all around the world?
The dancers all have to wear masks, and then the only people that are wearing a mask are the people singing, and they're obviously kind of set back from the stage.
Look, my light's gone off. Hang on. Can't make it go back on again.
But no, it's been really great, and it's such an adrenaline boost and a kind of shot in the arm for the whole organisation. I mean, everybody around the world within the royal family is just delighted to see it back. And see that first Royal Caribbean ship come back.
And that stat you gave around the first one, about 80% being maybe not new to cruise, but new to brand. I mean, that's remarkable, isn't it? Given where we were at the start of this pandemic, all the big cruise bosses were saying, look, we are probably going to struggle to get people initially, like people who aren't cruisers, to think about cruise. We know that it's going to be the loyal ones who come back first, but we're going to struggle. But it sounds like you are managing to attract, well, as you say, it's not necessarily new to cruise, but it's certainly people that feel confident about coming with Royal.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a couple of factors. There's not a lot you can do in Singapore at the moment because you can't travel, and obviously it's a slightly captive market. The Singaporeans are very obedient and do what they're told by the kind of their leadership and things. So the reality is, if the authorities and Singapore Tourist Board are blessing the experience, then that gives you a good leg up. But I think it's great, and I think cruise ultimately will come out of this pandemic with a great reputation and a reputation of doing things as we've always done. But even more so, I think people will start to really recognise the steps we've taken to ensure that we put the health and safety of guests, crew, and the destinations we sail to front and centre all the time. And I think we'll win those new customers back. I've no doubt at all. We did the £1 million cruise program with More4 a couple of weeks ago, and I can't tell you how many lovely messages we've had from people just going, I can't wait to get back on. And even people who've never cruised before watched that show and went, I had no idea.
Really? Well, that's what we need to get more. I mean, the other thing that has been remarkable for you guys is, you know, you announced these test sailings, and your boss, Michael, was telling me, I interviewed him just a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me that over 100,000 people had applied to go on one of the test sailings within days. I mean, so it really does prove that there is pent-up demand.
Yeah, I mean, he spoke at the International Cruise Summit in Madrid yesterday, and he said that number's over 200,000.
Oh, is it really? That doesn't surprise me.
It's insane. These people don't even know what we're asking them to test yet, but they're up for it. I think, look, we have a very large loyalty program, and we have a very committed and loyal following of people who love our product. They're fanatical about it. They know it better than we do, and they can't wait to kind of see what we've done. And there's a lot of appetite to get back. And it's the question I get asked about here all the time. Well, is that just a US thing? I mean, a cruise critic on the phone to me every other day going, can you confirm if you're doing test sailings in Europe? And we will do. We'll have to. Every ship that comes back, we will need to make sure that we're ready.
Will you then do a same sort of thing and ask people to apply and then get inundated probably?
Well, we're working through that detail. I mean, we may do it try and do it in a more controlled fashion, but I certainly think some of our top tier loyalty members, our Pinnacle members, our Diamond Plus members, I think some of them will absolutely be involved, and we'll be looking for them to come and critique the experience, because it's so important that you get the health and safety side of it right without impairing on the enjoyment of the holiday.
Yes, and then people can go back, and obviously word of mouth will be very effective. Okay. Ben, I know you're conscious of time, but I'm just interested to know, back to the UK market. You know, we've been speaking to a lot of travel agents who have said they've seen a bit of a bounce. I mean, it's from a small base, we understand that, but since this vaccine news that you mentioned right at the start of this interview, I mean, they are saying that things are feeling better. And of course, people were back in their shops yesterday. They're starting to feel a little bit more positive. And I wonder whether you've seen that as well. I know there's been Black Friday sales and then the vaccine news and various things. Are you starting to see things picking up?
Yeah, I mean, we are. And I don't know what all the drivers of it are, because it's very rarely just one thing. It's usually a collection of silver bullets. But I think we had a couple of soft weeks back end of October, and then in November it's just kind of slowly sort of gathered a bit of momentum. And look, it's not a surprise that was when the vaccine announcement started to drip through. And I think as more confidence grows by the day that these vaccines are a real thing, that they're going to pass all the certifications they need, and then obviously there's the challenge of how do you administer this program of vaccinating a population, and not only a domestic one, but obviously internationally. But I think there's certainly a lot of people have got a lot of confidence that program will be deliverable, certainly ahead of winter 21. Now, how much quicker it can be done, which countries around the world it's done in more effectively than others, all of that's obviously to work through, but it certainly seems encouraging. And I mean, we've certainly just come off a very encouraging Black Friday weekend and a Cyber Monday. And this week's shaping up to be quite good. So I think there has been a bit of a pulse in demand for sure. And look, I'm really looking forward to seeing what 22 does, because I think that'll be the acid test for us when we put on sale later today. But I think ultimately what will happen is we'll see if people are really confident to go and book their vacation.
Yeah, okay. Well, perhaps we should catch up with you again in a few weeks' time, Ben, and see how 22 has gone, and as we're heading into the wave period, which we really hope is really successful for you. It's fantastic to speak to you today. It's great to hear about your program and all the deployment in Europe, which is really exciting. Some great ships there, and we just wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Anytime.